Hey lovers, I hope you're all excited for this juicy training. I'm really excited. I'm actually feeling a little bit nervous about this one. I never get nervous on live streams, like ever. And I'm feeling all this like heat in my heart, and yeah, so it'll be really interesting to see how this one goes. I am not going to read the comments because it's going to distract me and I'm not going to stay on point. So if you have a question about blowjobs, put it there and I'll answer it. I'll go and have a look at the comments at the end. And if you're jumping on later and you're not live, feel free to put your comments on there and I will check them at the end as well. So let's talk about blowjobs. One of my favorite things in the whole wide world. And there's a story behind this, by the way, about why that is. And yeah, and they're really can be really powerful to heal. I'm loving how many viewers I have right now, by the way. I think this is like going to be an all-time high. But anyway, so basically this training came about because I do these tantric cock worship sessions, and I teach this to other women, and within that I don't do blowjobs. That's something that I really keep for my personal life, for my lovers, and so some of the women in my Reclaiming Radiance coven, which is my membership site where I did the tantric cock worship training, asked me, well, can you do a training on head jobs? And then I was on the phone to a client yesterday, it was the day before, and she's like, EJ, I really need to have confidence with head jobs. And I started talking to her about understanding about not trying to get it right, about being really intuitive and being embodied in the experience rather than trying to please or to perform, because that's when you're in your head and you're not really going to be able to really come from a space of being in your own pleasure experience and giving from your own pleasure. I'm going to go more into this, but what came from that was like, oh my God, I need to share this. And my first thought was, I'm going to go share it in my Reclaiming Radiance coven. And then I got all inspired. I was like, maybe I should just share it publicly. Maybe I should just give you guys a taste of some of the stuff that I share in my private membership site. And these are some of the trainings that I don't really put publicly. Yeah, and then I spoke to another friend, Aaron Kleineman, who we're doing a joint event called The Art of Loving, bringing together men and women through worship, which is a Tantra event on the 28th to 29th of April. And he really inspires me because he just jumps on and does live streams. Like he was saying how he has these client calls and he just jumps on and he does these live streams when he's feeling really inspired. And I'm like, man, I've got to take a leaf out of his book and just... I totally have my lipstick on my teeth. I'm glad that no one noticed yet except for myself. Anyway, classy, it's all good. Anyway, so I'm going to try my best not to get distracted and get to the point because I know you guys want to hear the juicy stuff. So basically I was like, right, I just need to do this live stream. I just need to do it. Okay, so here I am, right? Here I am. I'm going to teach you and give you some understanding around my experience with blowjobs and some of the stuff that I now teach, and how we can really use it to actually heal. And so my experience, my first kind of experience or understanding around blowjobs was when I was 15 and I had my first kiss, and the guy that I was with wanted me to give him a blowjob. And I was just like, what the fuck? I don't even know how to do that. Like I was really quite shy and quiet and I guess frigid when I was younger, which is like completely opposite of what I'm like now. And I was like, I don't even know how to do that. And I kind of freaked out. Meanwhile, my friend was on the side of the road giving his friend a blowjob. And I was like, what are you doing? Like, what's going on? I was like, I don't know. Like I kind of freaked out. Anyway, I saw this guy the next week and I really liked him. Like I really liked this guy, and he was like this young hot surfy dude, and like all my friends were like, oh, he's so hot. Anyway, when I saw him, I was like, so are we gonna like go out? You know, he's like no. He was just like no, and I was just like, this is because I didn't give him what he wanted. This is because I didn't please him. And so this is where I started to kind of create this unconscious belief that for a man to want me, to like me, that I would have to please him and do what he wanted. And it's a whole other story of how that played out in my life, but that's for another time, right? But what it also showed me is how like I must have subconsciously decided that I must become really good at blowjobs. Like this must be what I have to do to get men, right? This must be a way that I will have some sort of control or power or safety or something. This is like the story I must have told myself. Because what was really interesting that happened is that I had a boyfriend not long after that, and a lot of my experience was going down on him, and I kind of saw him for 2 years, and like that was a lot of our experience, was me like kind of using him to learn and practice on. And it was always me giving to him and very rarely receiving. I actually had a lot of insecurities about receiving oral back then. So basically after that we split up, I ended up going and becoming like just having lots of different random sex and casual sex, and so basically blowjobs became like my thing, right? And it was like I would get a guy into bed and I would be like, right, I'm just going to show him how it is, and I'm going to show him my skills, and he's going to like me, and like and when every time I got these guys that were like, oh my god, that's the best blowjob I've ever had, and I had one guy that was like, you need to teach women how to do this, and I was like, yeah, maybe I should. Like, so it's kind of funny that that I've ended up becoming a sex coach, right? So what ended up happening is I just had this like, it was just like this thing that I had, right? And it was always me giving, always me providing, pleasing, and feeling this like kind of like ego like trip of like every time a man would like give me compliments about it, it was like this real good like sense of self-worth or satisfaction. And eventually, you know, I got into swinging, and then eventually it led me into becoming an escort. And as an escort, my thing, like my niche, my skill that I was best known for, my reputation, was giving XXX Pornstar blowjobs. And like literally had people book me just like that's what they would book me for. Like this is the thing that they would come like back and see me for. So yeah, so it became this kind of skill, and for me it was like there was like a bit of I guess, you know, ego in that, like a lot of ego in that actually. And because, you know, it was bringing me a lot of feeling like worthy, and like, you know, men would also become like almost addicted to it. It was really, really interesting. Anyway, like I got a lot of, let's say I had a lot of practice, right? and eventually when I started to heal myself, I realized that, you know, I wasn't allowing myself to actually receive pleasure, that I was just giving. And yeah, I was receiving like this like gratification from it, but I wasn't actually like allowing my vulnerability and actually being able to receive from men. And you know, I did allow men to give to me, but I wasn't surrendering to it, and I wasn't being in receptivity. So let's kind of fast forward now. So I'm probably not going to go into how I did these XXX Pornstar blowjobs. But it was more, you know, lots of saliva, lots of eye contact, gagging, spitting, like hands, all sorts of stuff, like just Pornstar, right? Pornstar kind of style. And, you know, I used my eyes a lot, and which I still do now with, you know, in like what I call conscious blowjobs, but in a different way, right? In a different way, and in a more vulnerable and bodied way. So, not kind of like a seductress way, although you can bring that in as well. So, but it's like being in a different space. So yeah, now we fast forward, and I've obviously done all the sexual healing on myself, and I'm open to receiving and surrendering and exploring, you know, pleasure and sex as a pathway to healing. And so what I want to share with you is an experience that I had a few months ago with a lover. And he really struggled to receive, right? He really struggled to receive me giving him head. And for me, I was really excited because when I was escorting in Queensland, it's illegal to do blowjobs without a condom. So I was really excited to give him a blowjob without a condom. So I was like, oh my God. So I was really excited, and then he really struggled to receive. And so we kind of stopped and we paused, and then I think it was the next morning that I said, are you open to trying again and open to receiving? And don't worry if you're hard or not, that's okay. Like, don't worry if and so we ended up doing it, and during it, he was like, oh, wow, I'm feeling like these sensations that I've never felt before. Like, and he turns to me, he's like, oh no, I said to him, I have a healing tongue. And he said to me, you're the cock healer. So it was just this pretty funny moment. I was like, oh. And I didn't click until then that, wow, like this, we can actually, when we're consciously giving in this way, it has this real ability to heal. Because I really asked him to be in receptivity, and I asked him to get out of the need to perform or to please or to be hard or any of that. I just said, let that go, and I just want to do this for you. I just want to give to you authentically. But this is the thing, right? And this is where the consciousness really comes in. Like, that's part of it, but also it came from me being in my body. It came from me not trying to perform, not trying to please him, to make him happy. It was, of course, I wanted to make him happy. Like, I wanted to please him, but it was coming from the space of me, not from my head, not trying to get the right angle or do the right thing or do what I think has been looked good in porn and what other men have liked, or all these stories that we can come in with of how, you know, what a blowjob should be, or that person liked this thing last time, so maybe I'll try that on this person. And you know, all those things that we can bring in that actually put us in our heads and not in our hearts and not in our bodies. And what I've been really working on, and what I've been really doing the last year, is working on embodiment and working on being my body. So when I'm being intimate with a lover, I'm actually fully present. I'm not trying in my head, trying to get it right, okay? And not trying to see if he likes these different things, if I change it a little bit. It's like purely intuitive and doing what I feel is coming from my heart and is coming through me, and almost like a channeling. It's almost like just being in a flow, and it's not fast. It's not like, you know, I'm not trying to make him come. Like, this is the thing. It's like, it was not about, because I said, you know, don't worry about, like, well, he's actually doesn't practice ejaculation. Wasn't at that time practicing he was practicing non-ejaculation, so it wasn't about coming. So it was all about it was just purely about love. It was purely about giving and just being in the intuitive flow and the slowness. And you know, it's really hard for me to remember what I did, because it was almost like it was just coming through me, right? It wasn't like the step-by-step process or these different techniques. I mean, I'm kind of lucky in that I've had obviously all this experience where I can naturally bring all these techniques through, and now I don't even not in my head thinking about it, just naturally happens, right? But what ended up happening is we ended up kind of stopping. That's right. Okay, that's right. I've got to remember. But what happened was, he said to me, so I'm feeling this tension in my head, and I'm feeling a bit emotional. I'm feeling a bit emotional. And I said, do you want to stop? Like, do you want me to keep going? And he said, no, keep going. And this is when he was like starting to feel things that he'd never felt before. And it was usually like around the head, from what I remember. And then eventually we did end up stopping, and then I lay next to him, and I just looked at him. I said, I'm just curious to know, you spoke about, you know, that you're feeling emotional. What was there? What emotion were you feeling? And he said sadness. And at that moment, he burst out crying, and I just put my arm around him. I held him, and he just cried on my shoulder and in my arms. And I just stroked his hair, and I said to him, it's safe to feel what you're feeling. And which was big for him, because he'd been in relationships where a woman had shamed him for his emotions or his sadness. And this is the power we hold as women, to hold space for men, for whatever's there. And so, and he spoke to me, and he said, I feel this wound around unworthiness, this wound around not feeling worthy. Oh, I'm getting a bit emotional thinking about it. And this wound around not feeling, not feeling worthy to receive. And he's like, I've not really felt this before, like this strongly. And I just allowed him to be with that, right? And so since then, there was another couple of times where we explored this. And then one of the things he'd really struggled with is me being on top, because he's quite like dominant and would prefer to be dominant and would stay really hard, and when he's dominant and just But when it was me on top, it was like, oh, like this not being able to perform properly because of this wound of unworthiness of actually having a woman be in control. And what was really interesting was that then we had a couple more times when I was on top, he was harder than he's ever been before, ever. And I was just like, this is freaking amazing, like how powerful this is. When we bring consciousness to our sexuality, even just to blowjobs. So now, like, he's been able to like stay hard 100% the whole time, and like more like than ever before, and to go from not being able to really receive even a blowjob properly because of these wounds around not feeling worthy to receive, to then like just fully surrendered. Like I remember this one time I was on top and I was like looking at his eyes, and his eyes were like this brightness I'd never seen. I was like, your eyes are like so intense right now. And he's like, this is because I'm surrendering like I've never surrendered before. And so, you know, we talk a lot about the feminine surrendering, and you know, this feminine is in men too. Like, they need to be able to surrender too. They needed to be able to receive as well. And I mean, I can only do this now because I've done so much work on myself, and I've, you know, done so much healing, and I've had to go through my own journey, because that used to be me, where I couldn't receive properly, where I couldn't let a man fully go down on me. I'd be all up in my head, like thinking, is this not fucking doing it right? Or like, oh, just let him do what he needs to do, just get it over and done with. Like, this is the stuff that I used to go through. And now I'm like, yeah, bring on the worship, like worship my pussy. I'm so down for that. But you know, it's been a work in progress, right? So it's been a journey, and it still is, you know, not 100% going to be like, you know, shifts and changes, right? And this is all the worship stuff that I teach. I teach pussy worship and cock worship, and, you know, with consciousness, and really getting embodied and exploring these different ways of experiencing pleasure. So yeah, that's pretty much most of what I had to say on this. And I guess I'm just going to encourage anyone watching this to really explore, you know, how in your body are you, and how open to receiving are you, and looking at different ways that you can start exploring that, and receiving and surrendering, and creating safety is really paramount with that, creating safety with the person you're with. And sometimes, you know, like, it may not feel safe, and you may need to get it from a practitioner. I explore this stuff with practitioners. Like, as I said, I do sessions, and there's plenty of women that I know around, you know, around the world that do this type of work, and I've trained other women how to do this work, and some men as well. So it's like, there are people out there that are creating safe spaces to help you heal your wounds, especially around, you know, sexuality. So in saying this, before I go, I was going to look at the questions. Oh, are there any questions? Oh no, you guys are keeping quiet. Am I being that interesting? That's good. I'm imagining that I am anyway. Yeah. Okay. No. Now I'm only just seeing. Okay. I'm only just seeing the comments now. So the last things I want to mention before any other questions, is, you know, I do share this stuff in my Reclaiming Radiance Coven, which is my membership site. I do trainings on all the sexuality, men, like, it's a women's membership site, love, relationships, lots of juicy stuff. I have a couples workshop coming up in February, which is on the Gold Coast. It's called Exploring Tantra for Couples, and we share, like, we don't do blowjobs in that workshop, but I can definitely talk more about it. But I do share some of the experiences I've had with my lovers, and you know, the healings that have happened, and we go into some of those practices as well. So teaching you how to hold space for each other, how to worship, how to, like, yeah, like, if the wounds do come up, how to manage that, all this kind of stuff. And then I've got the Art of Loving, which is with a joint with Aaron, which is for singles and couples, so for men and women, which is going to be really beautiful, where it's all about bringing together men and women through worship. Yeah, so that's the main Tantra stuff, but I just wanted to mention that at the end. If you're interested in any of that, PM me. I'll put the links on the events. What else? Okay, so if you have any questions, speak now or forever hold your peace. Okay, you don't have to really hold your peace forever, but okay. All right, well, I'll give you guys like 30 more seconds. I'd love to hear what you guys thought, if you got something out of this. I also do have a women's group. It's called Soulful Sexual Woman. I have a 7-day sexual healing journey in there, which is basically about getting back in your body, healing your wounds around sex. You know, it's a free program. So if you want that link, let me know. I'll pop it on here as well too. All right, my loves. Thank you so much for hearing me and listening to my journey. I hope you have an amazing, beautiful day. And please feel free to share this if you want to start experiencing conscious blowjobs and healing and worship. Yeah, okay, I'll send that to you, John. Yeah, Cecilia, I do. I have an online program for women called the Soulgasmic Women's Tantric Sexual Healing Program. But if you join Reclaiming Radiance, you actually get that program included, so it works out a way better deal. Yeah, Peter, with the cock and pussy and stuff, it's like reclaiming that. I used to be all about lingam and yoni, and then when I started like really going more into conscious sexuality, I was like, no, we have to reclaim these words, like, and own them and not make them dirty or wrong, or like we can reclaim it and use it in a more beautiful way. Yeah, hey Isabel, so nice to see you on here, beauty. All right, okay, loves, I'm really gonna go now. As much as I could talk about blowjobs all day, I do have a lunch date, so I better go. All right, much love, bye.